Rock Dog is an animated feature film from 2016. This is directed by Ash Brannon, it's written by Brannon and Kurt Voelker, and we have a pretty great voice cast, including Luke Wilson, Eddie Izzard, J.K. Simmons, Kenan Thompson, Mae Whitman, Matt Dillon. Fabulous voice cast, absolutely no issues with the voice acting, and the animation itself is really quite beautiful. However, I found the narrative to be kind of dull, and Bodi as a protagonist is not too bad. I didn't dislike him as a character, but I didn't necessarily find him to be the most interesting. So for me, this wasn't amazing, but there are at least 2 other films, Rock Dog films, after this. So they must be doing relatively well, so it might appeal to some people more than me. But there is a quote. There's a quote in this that I love. It's not really a spoiler, but just in case you don't want to know anything too specific, I will wait until the end of this discussion to share that. This is about a Tibetan Mastiff, and I've never heard of the breed. I googled the breed. Honestly, he doesn't look like a Tibetan Mastiff. The animation is beautiful, but if you'd asked me to guess his breed, if I'd been aware of Tibetan Mastiffs, I wouldn't have guessed that. But nevertheless, our Rock Dog is a Tibetan Mastiff, and he wants to follow his passion for music, but something is stopping him. And I won't go into too much detail about the backstory. I think they made a lot of effort to give him a solid backstory, but I found it to be really boring and kind of unnecessary. I didn't like the character's backstory. Now, one could argue that if he didn't have a good backstory or any kind of backstory, I'd be complaining about that, which I'm sure would be the case. But personally, while I can see the efforts were made, I just don't care for the background, and I don't think that that part of the narrative, for me at least, is very interesting. Seeing him trying to follow this passion, though, is quite fascinating. If anybody has a dream, then watching Bodi try and make his dream a reality, I think is quite inspirational, and it's definitely, once it gets going, not a bad narrative. I don't think it flows too slowly. I don't think the pacing is very bad. I don't have any problems with any of the characters in it. I just didn't maybe find it that fascinating. So I liked watching his determination. I found that to be very inspirational. But the actual specifics of the narrative, the key plot points, were for me, again, just not very interesting. So Bodi is an okay character, but not one with whom I really connected. The narrative works well enough, but I personally didn't think it was the most fascinating. The animation quality is very nice, so it's not a bad film. But I didn't really enjoy it. There are some positives, but I don't think I'll be watching the second film, at least not in a hurry. Maybe one day, but while I didn't mind watching this, I didn't like it anywhere near enough to want to watch the second film. Would I recommend it? If it sounds like it would appeal to you, then sure. The voice cast is very good. The animation, as I said, is quite satisfying. The narrative works, even if I didn't really find it very engaging. And Bodi as a character is not an unlikable protagonist. So Rock Dog is not amazing, but I think there's an audience for it if this is your kind of story. And I will now share the quote. This is a quote that I really thoroughly enjoyed, and this is the last thing that I have to say about the film. And the quote is quite simply, "It's your life, make it a happy one." I love that. So simple, so effective. Perfect for the film because that's exactly what Bodi was trying to do, and I think a great takeaway for absolutely anybody watching the film, and it's very true. So that was beautiful. The rest of the film was okay. I didn't hate it, but I definitely wouldn't watch it again.